welcome to today's explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to consider that the way a page is physically built literally shapes how your mind processes the information on it? Today, we're exploring Week 22, Mastering Multimodal and Digital Texts. We spend so much time obsessing over the words themselves, but right now, we're going to look at the invisible architecture holding all those words up. Understanding this architecture, it's an absolute game changer for how you learn, study, and retain information. Okay, let's dive into this and take a really quick look at our roadmap. First up, the big idea. Second, print versus digital layouts. Third, why reading structure matters. Fourth, testing your knowledge. And finally, education meets biblical morality. Starting us off with Section 1, the big idea. Decently and in order. Now, what's really interesting about this is that before we even talk about screens or paper, we have to look at this fundamental ancient concept about order itself. Take 1 Corinthians 14:40, but all things should be done decently and in order. Order isn't just about keeping your desk tidy, right? Our brains literally crave it to make sense of the world. When information is laid out decently and in order, our minds are put at ease. It allows us to just focus on the meaning rather than fighting through absolute chaos just to figure out where the next sentence is. And that brings us to a core thesis. Same information, different experience. Just imagine taking the exact same facts, word for word, and printing them in a traditional book versus throwing them onto a flashy website. Digital and print text might contain the exact same information, but their structure completely changes how you experience and absorb that content. It's a pretty vital realization. The packaging changes the product. The human brain actually maps a physical page almost like it's navigating a physical landscape. But screens, they trigger a totally different, much faster scanning mechanism. Ultimately, the format dictates the journey your brain takes to get to the knowledge. Moving right along to Section 2, print versus digital layouts. And this brilliantly illustrates the real structural differences here once we roll up our sleeves. Print structure, think of a physical newspaper, is incredibly linear. It's fixed columns, read top to bottom, no scrolling. The author is basically your tour guide. Digital structure, on the other hand, is a completely different beast. It's got multiple pages, collapsible sections. It's a choose-your-own-adventure style, meant for really quick scanning. But if you aren't careful, that adventure can lead you down a 2-hour rabbit hole of completely unrelated Wikipedia articles. You are the navigator online, and that requires a totally different kind of mental energy. But as always, innovators have found a really cool middle ground. Enter hybrid layouts. These are fascinating. Think of digital magazines that intentionally mimic that calm linear print style, but then they layer in interactive digital features, like beautiful clickable photo galleries or embedded charts. When they're used wisely, these hybrid layouts merge the traditional focused structure of print with the modern convenience of digital. It's kind of the best of both worlds, giving you order while still allowing for exploration. All right, Section 3, why reading structure matters. So, what does this all mean? Why dedicate a whole explainer to menus and columns? Well, because ignoring these layouts comes with some very real sequential dangers. Step 1. You risk entirely misreading an argument because you just didn't follow the intended flow. Step 2. You skip key information that happens to be hiding in a digital sidebar. And Step 3. Before you know it, you're completely derailed by pop-up ads and hyperlinks. The format absolutely influences interpretation, and ignoring it can literally lead to a total breakdown in comprehension. To combat that, we can adopt some targeted strategies together. First up, build layout awareness. Literally take 5 seconds to look at how a page is built before you read a single word. Second, learn to navigate both effectively. Know when you need to slow down for print and when it's okay to click quickly through digital. Next, adapt your reading style so you just don't miss those hidden details. Recognizing these layouts really is the ultimate key to retaining crucial information and keeping your focus on what actually matters. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. Testing your knowledge. I want to make this a bit interactive. Here's a question for you to really think about. How can print format help you focus better? Just pause and ponder that for a second. When you have a physical book or a printed article in front of you, what is missing? Well, the pop-up ads are missing. Autoplaying videos are missing. Those clickable sidebars practically begging to drag you to unrelated topics? Missing. The fixed linear nature of print provides this physical boundary that naturally protects your concentration. It almost forces a single-tasking environment in a multitasking world. Now, a quick personal application question. Which format do you actually prefer for studying, and why? There is no single right answer here, for sure, but you really need to know your own answer. You have to weigh the absolute convenience of digital formats
I mean, hitting Control F to research keywords in milliseconds is amazing against the focused, uninterrupted depth that a print layout gives you. Maybe you use digital to research fast, but switch to print to deeply memorize. Just knowing your preference empowers your whole study routine.
And finally, Section 5, Education Meets Biblical Morality. This brings us to a really deep philosophical anchor from the HeroesMart Academy Godly Learner series. Because, learning how to read structure is only half the battle. We also have to consider why we're educating ourselves in the first place. So the crucial point is this core philosophy. Education without morality will ultimately hurt. Being incredibly smart and knowing exactly how to navigate complex digital texts is entirely pointless if we just use that knowledge to make choices that cause pain to ourselves or to others. Intelligence desperately needs direction. Knowledge requires a moral compass for it to be truly beneficial.
And we actually find that direction here. Romans 8, verses 6 through 7, promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. Let's tie this right back to our earlier lesson on order. A mind that is chaotic, getting constantly distracted by the pop-ups of life, and unanchored by morality, that's a mind in turmoil. But there's a biblical promise of profound peace for an orderly, spiritual mind. The very tools we use to learn, whether it's a printed page or a digital screen, should be used decently and in order, ultimately contributing to our peace of mind, not tearing it down.
I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful, provocative thought to carry with you long after this explainer wraps up. What is the point of being educated if we continue making choices that hurt? Really let that sink in. As you go out and master the architecture of print and digital texts, remember the ultimate goal here. We seek knowledge and order so we can cultivate peace, act with morality, and make choices that heal rather than hurt. Keep learning, keep your focus sharp, and keep seeking that higher purpose. Thanks so much for joining me today.